Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Sustainability Engagement Masterclass. Thank you for joining. My name is Rob Marsh, and I'm the Client Success Director at Team Jump. These sessions, they're really an opportunity for us to hear from one of our clients about their strategy and initiatives for engaging their people in sustainability and ultimately empowering as many people as possible to take climate action. We've got quite a big turnout today with people from all over the UK and Europe as well. So it would be great to know a little bit more about who's in the room with us. So please do use the chat function, introduce yourself, say where you're from. It'd be great to sort of see who we've got with us today. We have, in terms of the agenda, sorry, let me just move on to the next slide. So I'm delighted to be joined by Lauren McLeron from the University of Edinburgh, who is the program manager for behaviour change within their sustainability team. So Lauren's going to be talking about engaging students in climate action at the university and how people and culture are like a central part of the university's newly launched regenerative sustainability strategy. So it should be a really great session. After that, I'll be joining Lauren for kind of a follow-on discussion where we'll have lots of time to answer any questions you might have about her session, about the work they're doing, or the work that we're doing together on their engagement and rewards program. As we're moving through the sessions, please do drop any questions that you have in the Q&A section or in the chat, and we'll do our best to cover them at the end. We're also recording the session and we'll be sharing it afterwards with everyone who's attended. So if you've got anything important that's coming up, don't worry, we'll share it with you and you can rewatch it at your own pace. So just before I hand over to Lauren, to give you a little bit of context about Team Jump, who we are, if you've not come across us before. So we are a climate tech business. We're based in Brixton in London, which is where I'm dialing in from today. And we deliver custom sustainability engagement programs for universities and other organisations, including the University of Edinburgh, through their sustainability rewards program. The programs that we deliver are really about empowering and motivating people to take action for a sustainable future. It's that kind of action part that we're really focused on. There are two core components to the programs. So first of all, we build and deliver a custom rewards platform on web and mobile app where students and staff can compete and log their sustainable actions. They can earn rewards for the more that they do, and they can learn about their impact and the impact of the university and everyone kind of taking collective action together. And secondly, we provide ongoing support in terms of comms and engagement and program performance reviews. So really hone in on the impact of the program and the kind of impact of all these people taking collective action together. The platform tracks engagement and impact data, allowing sustainability teams to see how emissions, energy, waste, and more are being avoided. Lauren's going to show you a little bit of that during her session today. All of our programs are completely customized and tailored to the organizations we work with. So you may have come across us before under kind of a different name. So things like green rewards or sustainability rewards like Edinburgh. You can see a few other examples on this screen here. If you've come across kind of a reward platform in a university that rewards sustainability behaviours, chances are it's something that we're providing with that uni. Okay, and lastly as well, so today I just want to share with you a special offer that we have on at the moment. And if you're interested in a program like Sustainability Rewards, we'd be very happy to pick up a call with you and have that conversation. We're holding a special sort of limited offer at the moment up until the end of July to run and deliver a pilot program for 6 months for up to 500 people for under 10K. If you're based in the UK and you're concerned about a lengthy procurement process, which sometimes is the case, we also are part of the Crown Commercial Services G-Cloud 14 framework. So that means that we've passed all of their due diligence and all of their checks already. So your procurement, if you like what we do and you want to work with us, your procurement team can appoint us very easily, basically. I'll speak a little bit more about this at the end, but for now, I'm very happy to hand over to Lauren.
Amazing. Thank you, Rob. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, so I've got, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to walk you through some of what we're doing at Edinburgh when it comes to sustainability engagement. So I'm just going to see if I can get these slides up, and hooray. So Rob introduced me already, but my name is Lauren, and I am based at the University of Edinburgh within our Department for Social Responsibility and Sustainability. That is the university's centralized sustainability service. So we work across colleges, schools, professional service departments, networks, etc. And the focus of kind of the area in the department that I work in is embedding sustainability. So attaching sustainability to either pre-existing work streams or improving processes, procedures, and just general kind of ways of thinking and doing things to, I suppose, assume like a sustainability lens. Through today's session, I'll just be speaking about some of that kind of engagement and embedding work through the programs that I run. So I guess the first thing is to understand engagement is it's important to understand the scale of the challenge. I'm sure many folks on the call kind of experience similar challenges of scale where within our institution, we've got more than 40,000 students, more than 15,000 members of staff, and that equates to thousands of daily decisions. So it's very impactful for us to be able to kind of influence that decision making, everything from, a single use like coffee cup and opting for maybe the circular option up to, what procurement suppliers we're choosing for big sort of procurement exercises and so on and so forth. People and culture and kind of just engagement in general is core to our recently launched strategy. And it is at the center because strategy succeeds or fails through people. So just a little bit on that strategy. I won't kind of labor on about this too much, but it was launched back in March, and it is going a step kind of beyond just sustainability in general to regeneration. So it's beyond kind of limiting damage to actively repairing our natural environment and the systems around it. And it's split up into three kind of core sections where we believe we can have the largest impact, and that is firstly through our learning and teaching. So again, those 40,000 students that kind of pass through the university, they'll go on to the career force, etc. And so it's very important to us that every student, regardless of their degree program, has meaningful access to sustainability education. The second kind of area of the strategy is through our research and innovation. And that's not only the research that we undertake, but it's also the way that the research is carried out. And then lastly, and largely, our operations. So that's our estate, the way that we heat and cool our buildings, etc. And again, at the core of this strategy is people and culture, because to achieve progress in those three areas, we need to bring our audience along with us. And that is why people and culture is so important to kind of dedicate capacity towards from an engagement perspective. So what have we learned about engagement whilst designing not only the strategy, but the initiatives that we kind of build up around it? Firstly, climate messages alone are rarely enough, and this has definitely changed. I think the dialogue and discourse over time, it's evolved so that these kind of moralistic maybe approaches to sustainability just don't tend to land, and that's really important to recognize and adapt our approaches to engagement. So of course, bringing the climate into key messaging is important, but it's also very, very important that we link things that our audiences already value when it comes to engagement, and then create different pathways in and around engaging them. So it could look like lots of different things, but having like a good archetype of who your audience is, what they care about, is where we start when it comes to designing engagement programs. So from an audience-centered perspective, we tend to communicate co-benefits and not just carbon. So if we consider a first-year student at university, they're going to care about things like connecting with like-minded individuals, or finding a place to live, or finding an affordable meal, or taking a break from very busy kind of study periods. So well-being might be a key focus for them. Or maybe, you know, a professional service colleague who is time poor but has a key interest in sustainability and they go above and beyond. They might be interested in some recognition for the work that they're carrying out. Or, you know, a final year student might be interested in getting an accreditation that they can tie to their CV when they're looking for work out in the, you know, career force. So it's important to recognize these things and then again offer those different pathways to engage with us so that we're providing something of value to our audiences that goes beyond just reporting numbers. People in culture tends to be quite a qualitative thing, which I'm sure many people on the call can sympathize or empathize with. It can be difficult to report the touchy-feely stuff when it comes to sustainability, but it is important again that, you know, we don't focus just on numbers, but we focus on providing value to our audiences through the co-benefits that they might get through engaging with sustainability initiatives and the sustainability teams that design them. So I'm going to give a couple of case studies of how we've kind of put this into action, just to paint a picture. The first case study was an art installation called Rooting. It was a collaborative installation that the sustainability team delivered in tandem with our heritage collections team. And this team of colleagues look after thousands upon thousands of works that the university has acquired. They come through all different mediums. It could be paintings, photographs, sculptures, videos, you know, artifacts, all sorts of stuff. So this exhibit was designed kind of around an environmental and sustainability themed collection. It was installed at our main library with our key audience in mind for this, which was students during a busy time of the year. And why was the audience students? Why was it at the main library? Well, again, some of the things that they might be looking for would be a brain break from staring at the laptop screen, or just a quiet moment for reflection to boost well-being, maybe going with a group of friends to have, yeah, again, a break from the heavier stuff. So with that in mind, the exhibition ran for about 8 months and more than 11,000 people came to visit this. So whilst the content of the installation was related to sustainability, that wasn't necessarily the core message. Sustainability doesn't always need to be the headline to get folks to engage with you. And, you know, out of those 11,000 plus people that came, maybe sustainability isn't what sticks in their mind, but for many of them it will be. And for others, it might be more nuanced, more subconscious of, oh, I took a break from this very busy time in the year to enjoy something that the university was offering me. So that's one example of how we've kind of taken audience needs into consideration while designing interventions. I've got 2 more case studies. The next one is our Sustainable Lab Awards celebration. So the kind of what behind this is Edinburgh University is a signatory of the Concordate for the Environmental Sustainability of Research and Innovation Practice Agreement, which basically means that all of our labs that deal with liquids had to reach a certain accreditation by the end of this academic year. We run our own internal scheme, but it is very similar to existing schemes out there like LEAF or like the SOS UK Green Labs. So it is a huge body of work, and I think very often for time poor researchers, technicians, and PIs, you know, reaching an accreditation, an internally sort of certified accreditation, is maybe beyond what their general roles and responsibilities might blatantly list. But very proud to say that with, again, collaborative efforts with experts in schools and at college level, brilliant colleagues in the sustainability team were able to help facilitate the accreditation of all of our wet labs to a silver level, which is kind of the middle of the 3. So it was quite important for us to recognize the extra effort that individuals put into achieving these accreditations, and then again connecting sort of professional goals to the body of work, but also to the recognition ceremony itself. So Some of the audience interests around that would be research excellence. Funding is a really big one, obviously, for research, operational improvement, and recognition. It was a very well attended event, which shouldn't surprise me, but in some ways that in-person engagement, it can be quite hit or miss. But with this one, because it was hyper contextualized and bringing people together across different schools to celebrate parity across work streams, it landed really well. And it not only built confidence, I think, in engaging with sustainability, but also confidence within the individual to understand that there are natural ways that it links into their work, regardless of what they might be researching. So yeah, and then my final case study is in and around our forest and peatlands program. What is it? It is basically a reforestation and peatland restoration project designed in order to offset our unavoidable carbon emissions generated through business travel and incoming international students in our aims to become net zero by 2040. So the university co-owns and co-delivers a number of hectares across local woodlands. And I guess it's important for us to consider how those woodlands could be used within a university context beyond just, offsetting, essentially. So our audience for engaging with the space, well, it is generally kind of everyone at the university, but in particular academics and students to link experiential learning, research opportunities, community impact, and connection to nature within the space. I think that, many of us could agree that experience can create deeper engagement than just information alone. To be out and living and breathing some of the sustainability projects that the university is delivering, I think places some co-ownership and importance on a project that might just be overlooked if it was just a web page. So those are the 3 case studies that I have provided. They're all quite different in terms of what they are and maybe who they're for, but at the center of them all is our audience. You almost have to start with the audience and then work backwards from there and then connect the project or the initiative to sustainability. So yeah. In terms of engaging and how we kind of build a program around that, lots of us have struggled in the department with what is that sort of key entry point? What's the key message that we should be sharing with every individual at the start of the academic year or within team calls that colleagues from the sustainability team might join? And we've come to the agreement that actually there's not one key message. It is contextualized. It depends on who you're talking to. It depends on the level of influence that they have, the amount of capacity that they have available to engage, and so on and so forth. And so rather than thinking of it as an engagement pathway with a clear start point and a clear end point, we think of it more as an ecosystem centered around our audience. So there's lots of examples on this slide, everything from knowledge exchange, which in a way is what I'm doing now, to awards, which I spoke about earlier with our labs, to volunteering. We've got volunteering opportunities on our woodland sites, internships, training, events, on and on and on, including sustainability rewards, which is our collaboration with our very gracious hosts today, JUMP. So sustainability rewards, as many of you will know, it's an online engagement platform really available to students and staff and any other clients, really to drive climate action, both at an individual level and at a team level. And it works particularly well at Edinburgh because of how busy everyone is. Folks might be interested in signing up to an event, but just might not have the time to make it. Whereas something like sustainability rewards is quite easy to engage with, and we're able to create bespoke content that can signpost to some of those more energy intensive activities that we offer through our ecosystem to them. And one of the ways that we've leveraged our sustainability rewards project is, again, by thinking about our audiences. So rather than just having one line that kind of, one size fits all for anybody who might want to sign up. We think of tailoring that message and designing, again, like maybe a campaign around it. So this academic year, we've targeted 2 of our colleges and the schools that sit underneath those colleges to run college-wide campaigns. And in designing those campaigns, we've linked up with trusted voices, critical friends, and people who've got boots on the ground, like within those spaces, to understand the needs of the audience. So there's an element of co-design and co-ownership before a campaign is ever even launched. They're also designed to be simple and time-bound, so that it's not an overwhelming sense of for a participant of, oh, if I sign up, I have to engage this many hours a day. It's not like that at all. It's self-paced, it's low lift, and very effective, I guess, in engaging people across every different audience area. And it also generates a bit of banter. So on the screen, you can see how some of the schools within our College of Science and Engineering performed in a recent campaign. And it was fantastic to have all of them engage. And some of the quotes that we got from participants after was, things around, oh, we couldn't let X team win, or, we had to really push our colleagues to record their actions so that we could make sure to beat folks in this school. So it was nice to see communities rally around common interests, common efforts, and the audience needs might be different from one colleague to another within those schools. It could be, folks are interested in the incentives that are offered. They could be interested in engaging with the learning materials that are provided on the platform, interested in learning more about the university strategy, of course. So again, it is kind of a nice way to signpost to things that are offered internally. So yeah, that's just a bit of information about what we're doing, but if I could leave you with a couple of takeaways, the first thing is to start with what people value already, get to know your audience, speak to them, understand the challenges and opportunities around engagement, and then use sustainability to support those values. It's almost like the Sustainable Development Goals. There's a through thread through all of them. They all connect to one another. That tends to be quite true with individual values, interests, concerns. There are usually roots back to sustainability. And then lastly, to create multiple pathways into action. There's no one size fits all. There's no right way or wrong way to engage with sustainability. What one person can offer, another person might not be able to, or another person might have a different take on it. And we encourage and embrace that diversity. So yeah, I guess that's kind of it. It's not really convincing people to care. It's understanding what they already care about and working with them to take action. So that is everything from me just now, but I think we've got loads of time for questions if anybody has got any. And yeah, here to take your questions as well, Rob, if you've got any for me. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lauren. That was great. Yeah, as Lauren said, just please, I can see we've got a couple of questions coming through, so please keep them coming in. And yeah, we've got loads of time, loads of space now, so we'll try and answer. I'll have a bit of a chat with Lauren now, and then we'll come to everyone's questions after that as well. So the first thing I wanted to talk about with you was this idea of people and culture being sort of a central part of your strategy. I remember when we came to the launch of the new strategy earlier in the year, which was a really fantastic event, and it brought together, obviously lots of people from within the university and within the kind of surrounding community, but also partners like us, and we got a chance to meet some of the other people you're working with to deliver different areas of the strategy. And it was very clear to me and to our team at the event how really central people and culture is to everything. So I just wanted to know if that's like a new thing with this new strategy, or if it's kind of, if that's in your experience, has that always been the case? Or, what would your advice be to someone listening who's, trying to get that to happen and struggling with that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Rob. So I'll work kind of backwards. It's not always been a part of our strategic approach. It was flagged as a big gap when we were drafting our most recent sustainability strategy, just because of the untapped potential, I suppose, that our audiences have in terms of driving sustainability action and connecting grassroots touch points to kind of top-down strategic change. They must meet in the middle somehow, and we can't expect that to just happen on its own. There has to be some sort of effort and capacity behind it to encourage, empower, etc., so that it just becomes the new status quo. So I guess my advice would be, regardless of what any institution or organization strategy might say, getting to know your audience again and understanding like what are the outputs that you are hoping for them to deliver on, and how is it that your role or colleagues within your institution can help to make that happen, whether that's through professional development, whether that's through recognition, whether that is connecting people to one another, whether that is knowledge exchange, etc. I think, again, just making it quite varied in terms of how individuals can engage with strategy and have a sense of co-ownership, because while we would love for everyone to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm going to drive action independently, unfortunately, that's just doesn't tend to be the way that it happens. You have to have a concerted effort to engage people. So get to know your audience and understand what they want, and connect it to your own strategic objectives as well, to really design a program of co-benefits.
Very nice. Yeah, this idea of co-benefits is something that we talk about a lot, and we talk to lots of organizations about, and it seems like the ones that have kind of got that and managed to kind of get leaders on board with that idea, having the most success in terms of like really shifting the culture. Because if it makes a lot of sense, right? If you expect like one person or one team on its own to shift a culture, that's an impossible challenge, right? It's got to come from lots of different directions. And then and sustainability, because of its broad nature, if you can highlight those shared benefits, it makes it easier to bring in other teams, and then that makes the sustainability team's job a lot easier, right? So you can bring those out and highlight them and make them very clear. I think the engagement piece becomes a lot easier.
Just one thought off the back of that, Rob, as well. It does make it easier, but it's also not without challenge. So just to communicate that I can empathize with anyone on the call that's had a difficult time engaging their audiences, because it can be tricky to convince individuals almost to spend extra time on things. So often it will be framing of, well, it's not actually extra time, it is embedding, sustainability within existing work streams and projects. But it can be a challenge, and there are easier parts of the university and easier pockets of our audience to bring along with us, and trickier bits as well. And I think that's anything, that's life, isn't it? But it's it might sound easy, but it's definitely not always easy. So don't feel badly if it can take a while to kind of change the tune of a group of stakeholders.
Absolutely. One of the things you talked quite a bit about was finding the right message for people wherever they are, right? And kind of tailoring that message, which I think is really important as well. Kind of sounds like a lot of work. So I know that University of Edinburgh, there's a really big team. Your role specifically is about behaviour change, and I think that's absolutely the right approach. But what would your advice be to maybe a university or a higher education organisation that doesn't quite have that big team or doesn't have that resource, but still wants to get that tailoring right, and and go out there with not a generic message, but try and meet people where they are? Where would you start? What are kind of the practical things that you'd focus on there?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. You're absolutely right. We are quite fortunate in the sense that there is a large sustainability team at the University of Edinburgh, and I understand that's not the case everywhere. I would say that a key thing to do, regardless of your team size, is to go out there, go engage, go do a lecture shout out, go go to an all staff meeting in another department, invite individuals into your office space or whatever that might look like, to just build a connection and build almost a network of critical friends and have the confidence to delegate a little bit. Something that I'm working on for the next academic year is tapping into what is called our Sustainability Champions Network, but it's essentially an informal network of people who have an interest in sustainability. So my hopes are to kind of continue to formalize this a little bit more and delegate some of the event organization, networking, things like well-being walks, etc., to our sustainability champions to help deliver and again embed something that might be a co-benefit. It could be professional development or just getting out for a breath of fresh air, but connecting with your audiences and trusting the critical friends in the local spaces throughout your organization, because ultimately they'll have a sense of operationally what will work best since they're in that space day in and day out.
Nice. Yeah, Champions Network are, they're so valuable, aren't they? And I think especially in from my experience in universities, they often want, they want to take on things, they want that experience as well. And look, as you say, for co-benefits, it's kind of giving them potentially things that they could add to the like work experience or CVs. We just started like an advocate kind of process where when we go to in-person events and promote programs like sustainability rewards, we try and bring in students who can help us, and they get paid for the work, and it's also a bit of work experience as well. And I think leaning into that, if you're a small team, can help to amplify things as well and get you close, as you say, get you closer to the ground as well.
I would also say never underestimate the value of like an email signature badge. People love those. If you're a sustainability champion, get one of those designed and pop it into your email signature, because that in itself is a little bit of an incentive to say like, yes, I am a champion, and yes, I am doing X, Y, and Z, where possible to help curb the sustainability culture at the institution.
Wear that badge with honor.
That's it.
Okay, I want to get to some other people's questions, but I'd be remiss if I didn't just ask one question about, the process that you went through in terms of, kind of appointing us, effectively choosing to work with us, and I guess choosing to introduce an engagement and a rewards platform in general. So I wonder if you could just share a bit about the process that you went through to start that journey, and any of the major challenges that you went through in terms of building the business case and then getting the sign off.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the why would be it was a gap for us. We offer a lot of engagement opportunities, but in terms of accessibility, there wasn't necessarily something that had the potential to reach every single person within our audience, where this type of platform, for the most part, it can reach most of the people that we're aiming to engage with. So that's the why, and I guess beyond that is providing our audience with some I guess like agency to take action, to independently learn, to independently engage, but then also to connect to others. In terms of the process itself, it was framed as a pilot, which tends to land pretty well at our university, at least. Framing something as time-bound, budget-bound, and data-driven is a good way to, I guess, generate a business case if it's successful for securing further funding. So we ran our sustainability rewards project as a pilot, and we actually ran it in tandem with another supplier, but jump pipped the contract. We just found it to be suited quite well to our audiences, and then beyond that ran another pilot to test then a kind of platform capabilities, how it was landing with our audiences, where there were opportunities to further tailor content, etc. And after the second phase of the pilot, we were quite pleased and had a pretty strong business case of the value, I suppose, that this project is adding to our sustainability engagement ecosystem. So kind of hand in hand with our, at the time, forthcoming regenerative sustainability strategy. there was, very luckily for the project, some funding made available to have it continue and become one of our sort of flagship offerings. So some of it is luck, some of it is data driven. Most of it is data driven, I would say, just based on engagement. And our hopes are that by 2030 we get 10% of the university engaged, actively engaged on the platform. We'd be quite pleased with that. So about 6,000 people. We're on the way. We're not there yet, so there's more work to do, but very happy with the progress so far.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's great to see it growing from strength to strength, and yeah, it was quite a unique one for us, running a pilot alongside effectively a competitor in our space. But we were really delighted to, get the chance to then continue the pilot, expand it out a little bit, and now be such a core part of how how the university is engaging staff and students. And I'm sure that we'll get to that 6,000.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of work to do, but we'll get there. Okay, great, thank you. Just one thing on that as well, and I guess pilots are certainly a fantastic way to get the ball rolling, and we know how, especially you just said it yourself there, Lauren, in terms of building a business case, it can give you the data that you need to say, okay, this has worked on a smaller scale, let's start to expand it out. And that's certainly a path that we are familiar with, and we welcome. I guess one sort of caveat on that is we have to have kind of a closed user group, or a way of like communicating with a sort of pilot group. And I think we had a very clear channel with you, Lauren, and the sort of people in scope, and that made it possible. So that's just one thing to bear in mind for anyone who's listening that is thinking of that, and we can pick up that, how that might work if people are interested afterwards. So I'm going to come to some questions from the audience. Thank you, everyone. We've got a few to get through, and please, we've got still got plenty of time, so please, if you've got any other questions, please add them, and we should get through everything. So the first one's from Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. For you, Lauren, which Green Labs awards are you associated with?
Yeah, so we have an internal scheme just called our Sustainability Lab Awards, but it is on par with LEAF, the SOS UK kind of Green Labs initiative as well. So for funding opportunities, it's kind of graded the same or similarly. Our Lab Awards scheme has been running, I think, for the better part of a decade, so it's well established, and we're not looking to kind of switch schemes. But I think in general, the kind of criteria are quite similar to the other ones that are out there and available to to other institutions.
Is that the reason why you're not part of LEAF then? Because you've been doing this for such a long time, or?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. I can't speak about it in detail because it's not one of the projects that I kind of work on, but I think that part of it is, the kind of historic, I guess, momentum that our lab accreditation scheme has at the university. And I think because it's kind of doing something similar, and it's working, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Nice. Okay, we've got a question from Anna here. Thank you, Anna. So how do you communicate the impact of the programs to senior management? I assume that's kind of specifically your work, the engagement work and program that you're delivering.
It's a great question. The word that comes to mind would be relentlessly. Taking every opportunity that I myself can get, or other colleagues within the sustainability team. We're quite lucky at the University of Edinburgh that senior management are pretty on board with sustainability on the whole. So they're quite open to hearing about impact and opportunities to improve, or where we've kind of enacted a step change in sustainability impact. I think, again, kind of going back to knowing your audience, understanding how senior management and senior boards and teams like to receive information. So it's quite often presented quantitatively in report form, kind of board papers, etc., and presentations where you can. But again, weaving it into existing reporting streams, into existing web pages, into existing X, Y, and Z, whatever they might interact with. We try our best to attach sustainability to it. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily from one specific angle, but it is from many angles. But yeah, I think understanding how they want to receive the information and then packaging it up that way is the most successful way to communicate it upwards.
Fantastic. Senior management often like numbers, don't they? Fast impacts,
Yeah.
nice numbers, clearly presented.
Yes.
And hopefully some of the work, you know, we've made some strides in the data piece for our programs as well. Hopefully some of that work can weave into the way that you're reporting as well now.
Mhm.
And you know, I think for us, we often, when we talk to sustainability teams and engagement leads in those teams, the data piece is often the gap. And if you're an engagement lead, and often it's a case of you're doing a lot of work and you're trying to, you know, organize events, bring people together. A lot of the information that those leads are getting is qualitative, and there's a bit of a gap sometimes between, you know, the actual impact of all these people getting involved, taking action. And so I think that the programs that we deliver hopefully help to sort of close that gap a little bit with the management information.
I would say so. I think that what JUMP offers in terms of quantitative data is very helpful for reporting.
Also a follow-up question here from Anna as well. So how do you reflect that this has the impact of your programs? How does it have an impact on the overall strategy?
It's a great question, and I'll try and be as concise as possible. So within our people and culture sort of ambitions in the strategy, there's 3 key targets. One is around awareness building, so that our people know what sustainability is, that the university cares about it, that we're doing things to become more sustainable. So awareness. Confidence building, and that is through our teaching and learning, either kind of curricular programs, but also co-curricular. So things like our internal carbon literacy, things that are on the JUMP platform, like the climate classroom, so that there's a confidence to take action, and then that it is embedded across projects, programs, processes, procurement exercises. Everyone loves that one. So yeah, the embedding piece as well. So what we've built around that is a very clear implementation plan and reporting sort of process. And this project specifically, it touches on all 3 of those things. It helps to make individuals aware, because it's everywhere. It's passively communicated out through posters, digital screens, newsletters. It's also actively communicated about. It builds confidence, again, because it signposts to training programs, either offered via JUMP or internally. And we're embedding it through through kind of back-end processes, through our school's sustainability framework. So those sort of elements, they do generate engagement data that we are able to report on through those reporting streams back up to senior management. It is still early days because the strategy was only just launched about 3 months ago. So the first sort of annual reporting cycle will happen next spring, and it'll be very interesting to see what the numbers are. But even through our college-wide campaigns that I spoke about earlier, our College of Science and Engineering and College of Medicine and Veterinary Medicine, we had very great engagement numbers that I'm quite pleased with as a baseline. So it'll be very interesting to maybe run similar campaigns in the next academic year to kind of understand the trend, whether or not engagement trends up, which is what we hope for, or if it trends down, to understand what's happening there and what can we do better to improve that next time. So yeah.
Well, can't wait to see that first reporting cycle. It'll be really interesting to see. But you can't wait to get stuck into
like reading, yeah.
So this is from Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine. So what kind of actions do you find are the highest engagement within the Green Rewards app, so within sustainability rewards?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think what I've noticed is it tends to be the kind of opt-in or like pledge type of actions, and they tend to be ones that our audiences are maybe already engaging with, or more familiar with. So things like switching off lights, bringing in kind of reusables to campus, active travel, things like that are maybe clearer daily decisions that the individual already engages with. I
Mm.
think the ones that maybe we see less engagement with would be the more sort of complex and time-intensive actions, but I think that that's also to be expected. One thing that I did notice in one of our recent campaigns is that though less actions were taken comparatively to other similar campaigns that we had run, the actual CO2 avoided was higher, so there are higher impact actions being selected. And I haven't quite cracked into why that is, whether the audience maybe has a better understanding of bigger bang for buck when it comes to carbon savings, or if it's maybe a different driver. But I would say like the simpler the better when it comes to actions on this platform. Like the less clicks that someone has to do, you're going to see better engagement, and the more tangible it is within that individual's daily experience, probably the better it will land as well.
Yeah, so that was just going to be a quick follow-up on that, is because your program is different from some of our other programs in the sense that you've got a feature enabled that allows us to create kind of curated content and activities for people depending on their role, or depending on like what they're studying, or different things that they share with us when they create their account. Do you think that has an impact on actions, if that's enabled?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, my assumption would be that yes, it does, because the kind of features that enable someone to almost like curate like a like a choose your destiny sort of diagram of actions, it will generate almost an action plan that is tailored to that individual's interests and needs or their context within the university. Again, like the influence and the type of action that a senior academic researcher might take is going to be quite different to the actions that I would take. I don't work in an academic setting, so in terms of research. So yeah, I think it does help to have that bespoke element, because it's a call back to understanding your audience and what they are hoping to get out of engagement. It's a two-way street,
Absolutely. If you turn up somewhere and you've seen loads of stuff that's not relevant to your role or your experience, then chances are you'll switch off from it as well, aren't you? So the more personalized it can get, I guess, the better, really. We might have to we've got a few more questions to get to, Lauren, so we might have to zip through these a little bit. So this is from Bosco. So do you have any stats on how students, staff and faculties their understanding on sustainability evolves over time after the launch of your program or after different events?
It's a great question. I would say we're kind of actively working on that. So just due to the recent nature of the publication of our strategy, we're still kind of in the baselining stages of getting baseline figures, where is understanding currently at, and we hope to monitor that over time, and that will look at monitoring it in different ways. So either through surveys, through projects like our collaboration with JUMP, through sustainability rewards, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we're in the baselining phase, which is no small feat, but yeah, I'll come back to that maybe in a year's time, Bosco.
EBC. Okay, and then one from Sarah again. So do you have a student engagement plan or version of something similar that you could share with people maybe afterwards?
Yeah, it's a great question. We actually don't have a student engagement plan. It's not within our departmental strategy, and it's not incorporated within our regenerative sustainability strategy either. I think it is something that would bring value to help us stay on track, I suppose, with sustainability engagement. I think that there's some work to be done to collaborate with our Students Association on something like this. But yeah, at the moment, that type of document or plan doesn't exist for us.
Nice, doing it all off the cuff then, aren't you? Okay, so one from we'll go to Lorraine again. So does your Sustainability Champions Network have a specific focus, or is it an opportunity to connect people around multiple streams of work? Do the network events have themes?
Great question. I mean, the specific focus, I suppose, is sustainability. We've tried thematic events and meetups. We've tried informal, unthemed sort of informal meetups as well. And the type of engagement and the type of audience member that those different approaches receive varies. So in the last academic year, we did bi-weekly informal like coffee catch-ups at our newly opened kind of, it's called the Green Hub, but it's a physical brick and mortar space on campus, which was many years in the making to secure a venue. And we saw a great mix of students and staff engaging with that space, but we're going to be changing that approach for next academic year to, rather than bi-weekly, do monthly thematic sustainability events that could look like workshops, keynotes, like maybe something like again, like a well-being walk or a visit to one of our woodland sites. So it will kind of go across the board, and we'll use the data from this past academic year and next academic year to understand maybe how to kind of combine those or which one lands better. So we've kind of tried it all, but the university is a living, breathing space, and what our audience wants from us tends to change year on end. So we have to be quite agile in our approaches with engaging with them, I would say.
Sounds like they keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, we'll make this the last one, I think, then, and it's one about the business case again. So just, I guess, in terms of when you were going through that process, what were the main challenges that you would say you and the team sort of went through and experienced, and how did you overcome them?
So I think that the greatest challenge is probably budgets and identifying the kind of budget to fund a project like this, and helping our senior leadership to understand the value of running a project like this, especially again when sustainability engagement can tend to be quite qualitative. But overcoming this, we worked very closely with colleagues at Jump to, get maybe some more quantitative data, to do pop-up engagement on campus, to do report writing after campaigns, after events, and really kind of build a narrative around how this project fits in with our wider engagement ecosystem and the value that it brings to, I guess, kind of not only students, not only staff, not only academics, technicians, etc. There's something for everyone in there. So I think back to the first question I was asked, it was relentless in a sense, but believing in something and standing up for a project that you genuinely think is going to make a difference, I think helped to get that business case across the line. And, I think it's a great success that we were able to secure funding, and I'm looking forward to delivering on some of those ambitions that we've set through this project and other projects that kind of are nestled around it. So it's time consuming, but definitely worth the effort and the partnership with colleagues at Jump. So yeah.
Definitely, we see it as a partnership, absolutely, and I think very often the hardest part is getting started. The desire, the want, the identified need is there, but it can be a bit of an uphill battle to get that budget, or to, it's a new project, isn't it? And people are obviously, you're sort of, you have to convince lots of people, get lots of different people involved potentially. So I guess our role in that process is to try and make it as easy as possible. And we met years ago, Lauren, and we went through that process together. And like, as you say, getting that data, talking to other clients that we have, all of that becomes a joint effort. So that's absolutely something that we go through often with not just with universities, but when we're onboarding new clients. And we're so glad that it is where it is. And look forward to, as I say, getting closer to those ambitious targets that we've got. Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks everyone, and really massive thank you, Lauren. That was so interesting, and hopefully, I'm there was lots of great insight there into what you're doing and the fantastic work you're doing across engagement, not just the work we're doing together, but across the whole strategy. It really is amazing to see. So thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm just going to bring the session to a close very, very briefly. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I'll just nip towards the right slide. Where are we? Yeah, so I mean, Lauren has kind of mentioned the pilot that we started with, with the University of Edinburgh. We talked about this a little bit at the start, but If you're looking for, to make a start with us, or, and test out a rewards platform, test out what it could do for your organization, we do have this offer of a pilot to get going for up to 500 people for running it for 6 months as well. So there's usually a kind of 3-month build phase that we go through together, and then we run it for 6 months, and then we will pull together like a report at the end to show you the impact of the pilot and help with that business case if you do want to kind of expand it out. It's something that we've gone through with other universities and other organizations, and we'd be very happy to talk that through with you. You still get all the same support, all the same services as our kind of full program, and it would give you a kind of taster of what we could potentially do together. So if that's of interest to you, please do reach out to us, let us know, and we can pick up that conversation. And then the other thing I wanted to mention as well, so there's probably a few people on the call who, they're not quite there yet, right? You might be much earlier on in that journey and just trying to figure out what engagement looks like at your organization, where the gaps are, what can I do, at a practical level to get started in some of this work and really start to have an impact. So we also can go through a free sustainability engagement health check with you, which is more of like a diagnostic call where we ask a few questions about like how you're currently engaging staff and students at your organization. And following that, we'll send you a report which will summarize everything, and it will provide some recommendations for success. We won't be like, oh, we recommend that you introduce a team jump program. It'll be, areas that you can really hone in on based on our experience and based on working with people like Lauren and other universities, things that are working well across the board. So if that's of interest, please do get in touch with us and we can book that in and go through that with you. So once again, thank you to Lauren for joining us today and sharing some of the great work that's going on at University of Edinburgh. Thank you all for sticking with us and we hope and asking questions. There's so much to get through there. So thank you for being a very active audience. We will be sharing this recording with you all afterwards, and we very much hope to see you at another event in the future. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.